San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer prepares to deliver his State of the City address tonight. We'll have a preview coming up.
Right now it appears to be a series of things, and we're tackling those as we move forward.
The new air boss at Naval Station Coronado talks about the challenges he faces as he takes over.
We used his images, Matisse's images, and so hopefully they will come away with an appreciation of Matisse as an artist.
And a preview of a new production that explores the role art can play in all of our lives. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Two big priorities for San Diego this year: balancing the need for housing and helping the homeless. Mayor Kevin Faulconer is expected to talk about both at his first big address for 2018. He delivers his fourth State of the City address tonight. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen joins us outside of Balboa Theater with more. Andrew.
Yeah, Ebony, homelessness was, of course, one of the biggest issues for Mayor Kevin Faulconer in 2017, and it's absolutely going to continue to be an issue in 2018. The hepatitis A outbreak, of course, killed 20 people. It disproportionately affected the homeless, and that is a huge black mark on the mayor's and the city's reputation. The mayor's response was to open 3 large industrial tents to give the homeless some degree of housing, shelter, and sanitation. Of course, the big question this year will be how many people in those tents can transition to permanent supportive housing, which the city has a huge short of. Ebony?
Andrew, what else might we expect from tonight's speech?
Yeah, well, Ebony, we've been told that public safety is also going to feature big in the mayor's speech tonight. One of the biggest accomplishments the mayor made last year was achieving pay raises for the San Diego police officers, which are comparatively underpaid to other jurisdictions in the county. The big question is going to be how the mayor will actually pay for those things. We'll be listening for some hints as to whether there might be some budget cuts in particular areas in the city services tonight during the speech, or other measures that the mayor could take to help pay for those pay raises for the police. Back to you, Ebony.
Thank you, Andrew. An effort to expand rent control in California has died today after hours of testimony at the state capitol. Hundreds of people gathered in Sacramento to debate the bill that would have repealed the Costa-Hawkins Act, a decades-old law that prevents cities from adopting rent control on new construction. Opponents argued against the measure, saying it would stifle badly needed new construction, while supporters point out that California renters are barely able to keep up with rising rents.
My city is in crisis, and that was reflected by the fact that every member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors has voted to support this bill. But my city, like many cities and areas around the state, are in a crisis, and our renters need relief.
An estimated 1.5 million Californians lack access to affordable housing, and about a third of renters pay more than half their income for housing. Funding to help combat homelessness could come from the city's hotel tax. A San Diego City Council committee has advanced a proposal to earmark 1 out of 10.5 cents collected from hotel taxes and put that money towards homelessness prevention and housing programs. The plan will now go to the Budget Committee. If the full council approves the proposal, the plan would go to voters on the June or November ballot. Federal immigration authorities sent a message to employers who hire workers in the U.S. illegally. Wednesday, immigration agents targeted 7-Eleven stores around the country to check on employees' immigration status.
U.S. immigration agents descended upon about 100 7-Eleven stores across the country, starting at 6 a.m. local time on the East Coast and rolling west through 4 time zones.
21 people suspected of being in the U.S. illegally were arrested. Criminal charges could be found over the store's hiring practices. The action appears to be a new front in Trump's expansion of immigration enforcement, which has brought a 40% increase in deportation arrest. San Diego County officials have announced the start of a new campaign to raise awareness about sex trafficking. Experts say it's one of the largest underground economies in the region. The county teamed with an anti-trafficking organization to shine a light on the methods used by sex traffickers to find victims. The ads will appear on billboards, posters, and bus stops around the county. Months of research by local high school students is being showcased in Claremont, showing the effects of everything from sugar to opioids on the human body. Claremont High School's Academy of Health and Medical Sciences hosted today's presentation. It's called the Sugar to Heroin Project. The synthetic drugs like spice were examined along with more dangerous substances usually found in hospitals.
The other drug that's a big concern right now in San Diego is fentanyl, a very, very potent synthetic opioid, 100 times more potent than morphine, 30 to 50 times more potent than street-level heroin, and that drug is ending up in a lot of different places.
The students at Claremont High collaborated with Kearney High's School of Digital Media and Design to create today's visuals. A new commander took charge of Naval Aviation this morning. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh has this report from North Island.
We're out here at Naval Air Station Coronado for a change of command ceremony. The new air boss faces a number of challenges. Coronado is headquarters for U.S. Naval Aviation. The change of command from Vice Admiral Mike Shoemaker to Vice Admiral DeWolf Miller is marked with fanfare, including a flyover from the Blue Angels. Takes over a force that struggled to get to the bottom of physiological episodes that grounded some aircraft last year. Miller says they isolated the cause among training aircraft. They're still looking at the problem among some F-18s.
Right now it appears to be a series of things, and we're tackling those as we move forward.
The military in general is finding it harder to retain pilots, and the Navy is not exempt.
And what we're going to continue to do is start looking at the compensation packages that we provide our pilots and air crew to make sure that we incentivize the behaviors that we need.
His number one issue is readiness.
We need to train. We're doing a great job with what we send forward. Carl Vinson just departed, and trust me, she's ready for whatever comes her way. And what we need to do now is make sure that we do the same thing for everybody that's on the bench.
That includes having enough planes available to fly after years of deferred maintenance. The change of command ceremony traditionally happens on board an aircraft carrier, but all of San Diego's carriers are deployed at the moment, so the ceremony happened at Naval Station North Island. The outgoing commander, Admiral Shoemaker, is leaving after a 35-year career, though he's supposed to be staying right here in Coronado. From Naval Air Station Coronado, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, controversy over the extension of the foreign surveillance program. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
As the race for the 49th congressional seat gets more crowded, former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger says he knows who should represent the coastal district that runs from Dana Point to La Jolla. Today, he tweeted his support for Oceanside Assemblyman Rocky Chavez. Chavez threw his hat in hours after Congressman Darrell Issa announced his retirement. Earlier today, I spoke to Chavez about his run. Assemblyman Chavez, you are one of the first Republicans to announce plans to run for the 49th congressional district. Can you talk to us about how you arrived at the decision so quickly?
Well, it really wasn't that quickly. We have heard for a number of months that Congressman Issa may be stepping down. And so we had, having served in the district since 2001 and having friends, we started just talking to people and getting ready to go. So yesterday at 6 a.m. when I got a tweet that said, hey, Issa's out of this race, he's retiring, I told my team, I said, well, it's here, we planned for it, let's go do it. And so we're in the race, and the reason we're in the race is because As you know, the 49th Congressional District is really driven by Camp Pendleton. We have a lot of military there, and foreign affairs in front of our mind. The sequester and the budget's in front of our mind. Additionally, when you look at the district, we have a lot of agriculture, we have a lot of tourism industry, and the issue of immigration reform is in the forefront of the district. So those issues there, and the third issue would be Santa Onofre, since it's within the same 49th Congressional District, with Santa Onofre closing and the investment into energy and renewables, and is also in the front of everybody's mind. So those things, the Department of Defense, the energy issues, and immigration is why I jumped in the race.
So, Assemblyman Chavez, as part of your announcement, you said it's time we come together and focus on progress, not partisan politics. Some might say that's easier said than done. As a newcomer, how would you plan to go about that?
Actually, I'm not a newcomer. As you know, California is the 6th largest economy in the world. I have a reputation for 5 years in the legislative body to deal within my party, to bring in new ideas, but also to work across the aisle. And so it doesn't matter if it's working on education reform here in California, which is a big thing I've worked on, or taking care of veterans, which I've done, or it has to do with adult education or career technical education. Those are issues that the Republican Party had not normally taken on as part of their platform, but through my effort, they have been. And so I've been doing that for over 5 years. And so I don't consider myself a newcomer. In fact, if you look at everybody who's even anticipating running, I'm the only one who's actually has demonstrated that capability over the past 5 years.
And District 49 is listed as a 2018 target by the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. And as you know, in 2016, Doug Applegate, a Democrat, came close to a victory. Any concerns about being a Republican candidate in a district that leans Republican, but many consider is becoming more progressive?
Well, I saw Doug Applegate some years ago in a holiday parade, and I noticed his ground support, and I told my staff, I said, we need to watch this guy, see what he's doing. I give him credit for running a grassroots campaign because I run them all the time. So I'm very comfortable putting my military career forward as Applegate has, but I'm also very comfortable putting my grassroots support together because I have won that district election since my first election in 2002. When I retired from the Marine Corps in 2001, I got involved in politics. I've been elected in a leadership role since then, where, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing Applegate has done is he's lost a race. So he's going to run again in 2018, and he's going to lose 2 races. I'm going to win this race.
He's taken money from foreign governments and threatened to shut down news organizations that report the truth. If that isn't a case for impeaching...
Billionaire Tom Steyer makes another big bet on the Democrats. He already spent $20 million on a signature-gathering campaign aimed at impeaching President Trump. This week, he says he will spend another $30 million to help the party win the House this year. So far, no announcement on any political campaigns of his own. Styer talks about it all with KQED politics editor Scott Schaefer.
Tom Steyer, welcome to KQED Newsroom.
Scott, thank you for having me.
You're spending a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars, on ads calling for the impeachment of President Trump. You've never held office. You've never run for office. Why are you, Tom Steyer, the guy to be saying it's time to impeach the president?
Well, I don't think it's at all about me, actually, Scott. What we're really trying to do is empower the voice of the American people. What we're doing is letting, at this point, over 4 million people put their voices together to say, this is a dangerous president, he's unfit for office, we need to get him out. So it really isn't at all about me. We're not convincing anyone to do this, I assure you that. We're enabling them to put together a collective national voice to speak up to elected officials.
As you know, you're getting a lot of pushback from Democrats, starting with House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who says it's too soon. We need to wait for this Mueller investigation to run its course. You're endangering the Democrats' efforts to retake the House. You're smiling. You disagree with that?
Well, it's not the first time I've heard it. That's why I'm smiling. Let me start about the question about it's too soon. We got 4 constitutional scholars. I'm not a lawyer, but we got 4 law professors for 2 hours to take us through exactly the case for impeachment. And we put it on the web at needtoimpeach.com. And it is a open and shut case that he has met the criteria for impeachment. We're supportive of the Mueller investigation. He is investigating 2 out of the 9 criteria that this president has met. So there's no doubt in my mind that from a legal standpoint, it's clear. The second question you asked me was, is this bad for Democrats? That Nancy Pelosi...
That's what Democrats say, and a lot of Democratic consultants say that.
Here's what I would say. We are telling the truth. We believe he is unfit. We believe all those Democrats would agree with us that he's unfit. We think that he's dangerous to the American people. We believe those Democrats would agree with that. We believe that this is the constitutional remedy for a dangerous, unfit president. And when they say, what they're really saying is this is going to rile up the Republican base.
Well, also, yes, that's true. That'll drive out turnout among Republicans. But they're also saying, look, any impeachment proceedings need to begin in the House of Representatives, which is controlled by Republicans. Let us win back the House first. Isn't that a good argument? Well, I mean, Republicans aren't going to impeach him.
I can add, I did go to high school, so I can get 50% of 100 and half of 435. I think there's a different question about impeachment. You're talking about a grave move, removing the elected president of the United States. That is not supposed to happen in a vacuum. It is a long process. It took 2.5 years with Richard Nixon. It is something where the people of the United States, who we're really talking with and for, the people of the United States have to understand that something really wrong has taken place, or this can't happen, in a vacuum behind closed doors. And it's a process that we've begun, that it's important to begin because it is urgent, and it's bringing it to the American people saying, take a look. This is dangerous and urgent.
Saying, though, in these ads that elected officials have a moral responsibility to speak out and to support impeachment, a moral responsibility. And this week, your group, Next Gen America, also sent out a platform on sexual harassment and said that elected officials and candidates, if they don't embrace this platform, they're not morally fit to be in government. So it raises the question, are you at risk of being sort of a moral scold here?
Well, I think that there is a point here about right and wrong. And I think that's the question, honestly, in 2018, Scott. I think that people are getting way, way too far away from a basic question about American values. And that is actually what I do think is a question here.
Yeah.
This is a question about the soul of America. This is not about a 35 or a 37% marginal tax rate. This is a question about whether we're safe. It's a question about, are people who are not rich, white American males fully citizens? These are the basic questions for Americans. So I think, if you ask me, do I think this is a moral question, that we are having a moral attack on the basic fabric of American society? I think definitely, and I would refer you to the elections in 2017 in Virginia, in Alabama, and in New Jersey, and tell me it's not moral.
You can see more of this interview on kqed.org. Well, clear skies, and it's warming up here in San Diego. Erin Calandra has the full forecast.
Well, hello. I hope you had a nice day today. The weather was pretty perfect. It's getting a bit warmer and also certainly drying out. We don't see any precipitation here on our satellite or the radar. So we're back to a typical pattern, although we are still dealing with the cleanup from some mudslides. Our weather is really going to be favorable for that because it's going to stay dry and also warming up. So for tonight, 53 degrees. It's going to be mainly clear. We have an offshore flow, so it's going to stay a bit sunnier, fewer clouds along the coast over the next several days. Oceanside 45 degrees, San Diego 53 tonight, Ramona 43, and in Mount Laguna 41 degrees for our overnight lows. On Friday, much of the same today. It's going to be a little bit warmer and it's still going to stay dry and mild. We're under the influence of a high pressure system, and so that means just nice weather ahead of us. For tomorrow, our temperatures in Oceanside at 71, San Diego 70. That's a degree or two warmer hotter than it should be this time of year. So we are going to be under a warm stretch. Borrego Springs 77 degrees and Alpine 76 degrees with beautiful sunshine for everyone. Taking a look nationally, an Arctic blast is really going to cool down the central part of our country again, all the way down to Texas. And we do expect a pretty heavy winter storm in the Northeast here by Friday night. But for us, it's going to stay nice and mild here on the West Coast. Things are drying out to the north of us as well. Here along the coast, lots of sunshine the next several days. Look at Saturday. We reach 80 degrees, so that's going to be well above average. Inland, we're even in the 80s as well. Saturday and Sunday, even Monday, we're still going to be in the 80s, so a warm pattern here with plenty of sunshine. In the mountains, much cooler as it should be. We're in the 60s. Our overnight lows even dropping down to the 30s on Monday and Tuesday. And in the deserts, we're in those upper 70s, nearly 80 by Monday. So really nice conditions here. Our lows in the 40s and lots of sunshine for everyone. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra. Ebony, back to you.
Vantage Theater is committed to producing new works that have something to say. Its latest production is the world premiere of Jesse Kornbluth's The Color of Light. It's about artist Henri Matisse. KPBS reporter Beth Accomando takes us behind the scenes.
Art at its most basic level is simply lines, shapes, and color.
So I think that's how I relate to Matisse in terms of how he expresses himself through these elements.
Henri Matisse helped revolutionize modern art through his bold use of color and flowing sense of design. Although born in the 19th century, his impact is still felt today on artists like Kelvin Ming Young and Yvette Diaz.
The way he handled color is a gift to any painter or anyone who loves color and works with color, but also his persistence, that no matter what life threw at him, that he kept going and he found a way to keep making, to remind each of us that we don't have to let life defeat us no matter what our process is, and we can adapt, and we as artists can make things work no matter what.
The play The Color of Light looks to Matisse in his later years and how he continued to push himself to try new things.
Through the stained glass windows, colors are added and they come alive. They're always moving, vibrating, but always soft.
His drive to innovate impressed artist Kelvin Ming Young.
When we saw the play about how Matisse, changed the way he worked, later on in his life, I realized that, I was doing the same thing too, is really adopting the way I work to my situation as opposed to letting the situation or to control my work.
Ming Young started painting on canvas, and now he creates digital images on an iPad. Both styles of his work are on display, along with Diaz's paintings, as part of Radiant's art exhibit. The exhibit was designed in conjunction with Vantage Theater's world premiere production of The Color of Light. It's all part of a confluence of theater, visual art, gallery space, and a diverse group of artists.
And the aim of all this confluence, of all these different people coming, is to create beauty. So this is, hopefully, a work of art about art.
Vantage Theater prides itself on doing new work and work that has something to say. In this case, the play says something about art and its importance in our culture.
Well, I think it addresses the false dichotomy between art and spirituality and religion.
I call upon that which is holy in me, and ask it to be revealed in my work.
Your work isn't religious.
Oh, all art is religious if the artist is sincere.
The play presents the increasingly intimate but platonic relationship between the aging Matisse and a young nun.
She approached him about creating a stained glass window for the chapel at her convent. So because of his great feelings for her, he not only agreed to make a stained glass window for the chapel, but to create a whole new chapel. This, of course, caused a stir.
Not just because he was an atheist. The Mother Superior was also appalled by his art.
Childlike lined graffiti!
It is the drama reduced to the
horrible!
But Matisse tries to win her over to his vision for the chapel.
When you first enter, you will see the tree of life, the way to heaven. The walls are glazed tile, painted white. I'll paint them and then glaze them again, and that way they'll truly reflect the light, It's never been done before.
Matisse's insistence on pushing boundaries inspired Salerno.
In order to achieve the impossible, you have to attempt the absurd. I wanted to immerse the audience in these images. We have a certain wow factor that we want to hopefully expose them to in the show, because we used his images, Matisse's images. And so hopefully they will come away with an appreciation of Matisse as an artist as well as a man.
And an appreciation for the role art can play in our lives as something beautiful and transcendent.
Why does art exist, huh? It's to make people feel good, to feel happy about themselves, and to know that there's a reason for living.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Vantage Theater's The Color of Light opens tonight at 10th Avenue Arts Center and runs through February 3rd. Now here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, hip-hop royalties celebrate an incredible birthday gift. Mary J. Blige leaves her mark on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And on Midday Edition, North County Arts takes center stage on our weekend preview. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.